Yo, what's going on? Pirates, Dragon Ballers, Digidestin, Yu-Gi-Oh players, Magic Gathering people, whoever might be clicking into this video for the first time, welcome to Crossworld TCG. My name is Joey, and today I want to go over with you guys the initial rule set for the One Piece trading card game. Just a little bit about myself. My entire life played card games, mostly Yu-Gi-Oh, some Pokemon and some Magic. A couple years ago, ditched competitive Yu-Gi-Oh for the Dragon Ball Super card game. Ever since then, I've been a Dragon Ball Super player, competitor, coach, and content creator, and I am very excited about the One Piece card game for a few reasons, one of which I absolutely love the IP, and secondly, I actually like the gameplay a lot. I've read through this, I've put a good kind of sense together of how the rules work, and I want to go over that with you guys in today's video. So if you're new here, definitely subscribe, and if you want to see more One Piece content, whether you're a regular viewer of mine or a new viewer, let me know, because I do plan on covering this game in some capacity and playing it when it comes out. So very excited about it. Let's get into this. So we have a graphic here that was originally posted on the One Piece trading card game official website, but it was posted in Japanese. So this was translated by community members for us to read. So shout out to you guys for getting this to us. I guess for whatever reason they haven't officially translated yet. Maybe at the day of posting it will be translated, but I have this community translated page to go over with you guys. So let's get started. I'm going to zoom right onto this graphic. It actually flows very nicely, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use comparisons to explain this game from other card games that I'm familiar with, mostly Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh, a little bit of Magic and Pokemon, for those of you guys that already have a card game knowledge base. But I'm also going to try to simplify it for those of you guys that might be brand new to card games and just love the One Piece IP. So let's get right into it. So what you need to play the game is you need one leader card, which is very similar to Dragon Ball Super. And the next line says the deck is built with 50 color cards of the leader card. So again, this might not be a perfect translation, but this seems to say that you have to play all the cards in your deck that are the same color as your leader, which is a little bit weird. And the reason I think this might be a mistranslation is because in most games you can mix and match colors, mix and match tribes, but as it is right now, we'll go with how it's translated. You can use up to 4 cards with the same card number, again very similar to Dragon Ball Super, and the Dawn deck is made up of 10 Dawn cards. So I have a feeling that when it comes to English, Dawn is going to be retranslated into something else, because I can't think of how Dawn really works within the One Piece world. But essentially what Dawn is going to be, the Dawn deck is going to be our resource deck. So very similar to Hearthstone, if you guys play that game, where every single turn you just get to pull a resource out of a different area. In Dragon Ball Super, for example, we charge cards from our hand turn after turn. Same thing in Magic, you charge lands turn after turn. But in this game, you're going to get a resource for free every turn, which is nice. So it kind of like lets you curve out naturally. And the cards you need to play the game, we have 3 different types of cards: character cards, event cards, and stage cards, and we'll get more familiar with those as we go through. So moving down here, we'll be preparing for the game next, but firstly I want to go over this character mat, so maybe I'll zoom in a bit more. So we have the play mat here, right? So just going from left to right, we have the life area, which is again very similar looking to Dragon Ball Super, maybe a little bit similar for you Pokemon players out there. And then below that we have the Dawn deck. So again, this is going to be our resource deck, and most of our resources are going to initially go into the cost area. And if you're not familiar with the card game at all, when we talk about cost, we're typically talking about a resource that we are paying to play or use a card. That's generally what we're referring to when we talk about cost. So it's pretty nice that the One Piece card game just straight up calls us the cost area, because it's very intuitive once you start getting into the card game kind of lingo, right? So then we have our leader area, and in front of that we have our character area. So your leader is going to be whatever leader you choose to play that starts outside of your deck in the beginning of the game. Let's say you start playing with a Luffy leader, and then you start playing characters to the board. I do actually like this board setup a lot, even though it is a bit strange coming from Dragon Ball Super card game. But this seems pretty thematic in the sense that like your opponent has to get through your crew before they can start attacking your leader. That's pretty cool to me. Then we have the stage area deck. I believe this pretty much just refers to your main deck, if I'm not mistaken, but we'll get through that in a second. And then to the right of here might be another area for your character area. And then below that we have the trash, which is essentially going to be your discard pile, right? So let's scroll back up a little bit and talk about how to prepare for the game. So well mixed deck and Dawn deck, put deck in place. So again, I'm reading it, it's a little bit of a messy translation, but essentially you're going to shuffle your deck up, your Dawn deck and your main deck, and then place them in the appropriate areas. This leads me to really too that we'll have different types of Dawns that do some different things, and Dawns do actually have effects, which we'll see later. So then we'll place our leader card in place, and then decide the first attack and the second attack with rock paper scissors. I mean, no one in card game worlds really do this. Typically you're going to use a dice roll to do this, to decide who goes first and second. All right, starting up, we will draw 5 cards from the top of the deck. return all your hands to the deck and shuffle them only once, and then you can redraw 5 cards from top of your deck. So this is what we call a mulligan in trading card games. If you don't like your hand, you can put the whole hand back, you can shuffle up and draw 5. So a different mulligan system than Digimon and Dragon Ball, and just, you know, this being another Bandai game, it's pretty interesting they go with an entire different mulligan system, but they do. So from the top of your deck, the life of your leader, place the card face down in your life. So your leader is going to specify a certain number of life. I believe the Luffy leader specifies 5 life. So with that in mind, you're going to take 5 life, put them face down your life area. Your leader might specify something different, maybe 3 life, maybe 6 life, 7, depending on what the leader is. You'll place that many life face down. And again, coming from Dragon Ball, it's very interesting because you always start at 8 life for the most part in that game. So this game, you get a different amount of resources depending on, you know, who your leader is, which is pretty cool. Moving on though, start the turn for the first player. Explanation of areas, we kind of already went over this, but also important to note, you do not draw a card if you go first, but as the turns roll and progress, every time your turn starts, you will draw a card. So that's been a pretty popular rule in card games for a long time. First turn player does not draw a card because they get the advantage of actually going first, and then the next player going after that will start drawing cards for their turn. All right, next up down here, we have the ways that you can win the game. So with 0 life of the opponent leader, successful attack on the opponent leader. So that's actually very, very similar to Digimon, where you have to get through all their security stacks and then attack them one final time to win the game. The other way to win is if your opponent's deck becomes 0. All right, so now that we're done with the setup of the game, let's talk about how the turns actually flow. And again, I absolutely love this graphic. It's so nice and easy to follow. So turn flow. From the first player, proceed with the game in the following order. So the refresh phase. Dawn attached to the cards in your place. All the cards return to cost area. Okay, so there's some things where you're going to be attaching your dons or your resources to your characters, and it seems like at the beginning of your turn in the refresh phase, they're going to go back to the cost area to be reused for other things, okay? Then we have activate all the rest cards in your field. So very similar to Dragon Ball, you have active mode being where the card is standing straight up, and then you have rest mode where the card is tapped. That's the same exact terminology as Dragon Ball. So at the refresh phase, you're going to switch all your cards back to active mode. Then we have the draw phase. Draw a card from top of your deck. You do not draw if you're the first turn player. And then we have the Dawn phase. So Dawn, turn the top 2 cards of the deck face up and place them in the cost area. Place 1 on the first turn of the first player. This is super interesting. Okay, so again, referencing Hearthstone, where you just get a free mana every single turn, this game actually rewards you for going second by essentially ramping you a resource. Ramping, again, if you're new to card games, means you're kind of just accelerating your mana pool, accelerating your resources, so you can do some more things later on. That is actually a really, really cool thing, because a lot of card game players will tell you that if you go first in a card game, you're super, super advantaged. This game aims to combat that by giving the second turn player a bit of an advantage, which is pretty cool. I'm very interested to see how that will work out. But anyways, going to the main phase, you can do the following as many times as you like. So you can play cards. Dawn in your own cost area for the cost of the card. You can make it appear by making it a rest. Okay, so my interpretation of this, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense reading the translation, you can use Dons in your cost area to pay the cost of cards. You see here, this Jinbei card has a cost of 3, right? So you would take 3 of your Dons that are in your cost area and place them under the Jinbei that you're playing in the character area, right? And it seems like you're playing them in rest mode. So this is apparently going to be some sort of summoning sickness mechanic, which basically means that when cards enter play, they can't attack that turn unless they have some sort of skill that allows them to do that, right? So it looks like they're also attempting to slow the game down in this way, which is interesting. The next line says, though, place the event card in the trash after playing it. So very similar to extra cards in Dragon Ball, spells in Magic, and spells or magic cards in Yu-Gi-Oh as well. You use them, they do their thing, they go to the drop area. Then we have Dawn, attach a card. Active Dawn in the cost area card. You can attach it to your leader or character. So if you have leftover Dons in your cost area, it seems like you can take them and equip them to either your leader or to any card in your character area. And for example, this Dawn they're using gives a character plus 1000 power. And I'm sure they'll make more Dons that do other things, and you'll be able to equip those effects, kind of like equip spells in Yu-Gi-Oh, kind of like energy in Pokemon when you're putting them underneath your Pokemon. So then it says, Dawn, when this card with the card leaves the field, it was on the Dawn, the card is rested in the cost area. Okay, so what this says to me is that if the character dies, You don't lose the Dawn, it just goes back to your cost area in rest mode, which is great. I mean, you don't lose your total number of resources. They just, you know, they're rested for the rest of the turn, so you can't quite use them, but going into your next turn, you can ready them and then use them again. Use card effects. Satisfy the effects of leaders and characters in your field. They can be used by Dawn. You can use it if you have one card. Dawn in my place. Dawn one card. On the deck, you can use it by returning it. Okay, so I think what this is talking about is I've seen a couple effects that have been translated, and they say return a Dawn to the Dawn deck. So some effects might just be so powerful that you have to actually give up your resources and return them to the Dawn deck. But again, you're going to want to use that probably if the effect is powerful enough to warrant giving up some of your resources. Then it says active Dawn in the cost area card. It can be used by using one as a rest. So this to me sounds like a condition where you have a character in play or some sort of effect going off that requires you to tap one of your Dawns that are in your cost area. You're not actually going to take it and put it under anything. You're just going to tap it kind of like a land in Magic, kind of like an energy in Dragon Ball. Then we have the attack phase. Resting one active leader or character in your field. By doing so, you can attack. Same attack declaration as Dragon Ball, as Digimon, and as Magic. However, the character may attack during the turn that comes into play. Cannot. So I know that doesn't make sense, but basically what it means is the card that comes into play that turn cannot attack. Now that's kind of interesting. I wonder if they'll make some sort of haste type of effect. Like in Magic, for example, haste just says you get around something like this, you can attack as soon as you play the card. But these cards seem to come and play in rest mode if I was understanding what it said earlier properly. So I wonder if there's an effect that like brings a card in active mode and then you still can't attack with it because of the rules of the game. But again, this might be an issue with translation where it just kind of says like, hey, your cards come in rest, but if you can somehow switch them to active, maybe they can attack. That's something we'll need clarification on for sure. Also, you cannot attack on the first turn on the first attack. So yeah, of course you can't attack only first. That's a strict rule for most card games. And then end phase, effects such as during this turn will be invalidated. And then it goes to the opponent's turn, and then you're pretty much going to rinse and repeat there. So honestly, in my opinion, pretty simple as far as how turns play out. Like, I definitely want to do a more in-depth play guide when I can actually get some physical cards or maybe some sort of like untap simulator, because it'll be nicer to kind of show you guys exactly what I'm talking about by using cards and resources. But this is honestly pretty easy to follow. It's been pretty tough for me to learn card games in the past without physically seeing the cards, but I'm having a good time visualizing this. Let me in the comments below if you're getting the same thing or if you really need to see the cards being played, which I hope to get you guys as soon as physically possible. But next thing that seems pretty important is the battle procedure. So let's go over this. So from the little graphic here, they're showing Jinbei being tapped to attack. You can attack a leader or you can attack a rested character card, which is very similar to Dragon Ball once again. Attack step. One active leader or character in your field, make it a rest and specify the target of the attack. If there is an effect at the time of the attack, it will be resolved after specifying the target. Seems simple enough to me, to be honest. Block step. The attacked player has his own character and you can activate this ability. Okay, so I can't read this Japanese wording here. I'm wondering if every card is going to be a blocker or if this is a specific blocker text. It seems like this is a specific blocker tag. So as long as your card has blocker, you can block attacks. Counter step. The attacked player is from the hand. Cards with as much as possible. Okay, so that honestly doesn't make a lot of sense, but it seems like you can activate counters from your hand and you probably have to pay Dons for that, I would assume, unless, you know, it specifies 0 or something like that. But yeah, this is actually reverse of Dragon Ball. Normally it's counter step, then blocking happens, but in this game it seems to be the reversed. And then the damage step. The power of the attacking card and the attack compare the power of the card. So the two cards are doing battle basically. The power of the attacking card is if it is more than the power of the card being attacked, you win the battle and the result is on the right. When attacking the leader, inflict 1 damage on the leader who lost the battle. Very, very similar to Dragon Ball. When attacking a character, KO the character who lost the battle and put it in the trash. But if the attacked card loses, nothing happens. That is pretty insane if this is translated right. That means that if you block with a really, really small card and your opponent attacks it, you don't lose that character card. And in the resource game that trading card games tend to be, that is a huge, huge benefit. That's really, really cool. But yes, in this game, compared to Dragon Ball Super, it seems like the power has to be greater than the card being attacked, where in Dragon Ball, ties usually win. But yeah, just one thing to notice here, if you're a Dragon Ball player, it's a little bit different. And then finally, when your leader is damaged, add 1 card from life to hand, and there might be effects that do multiple damage, kind of like in Dragon Ball and other games. At this time, if the card has an effect, you can reveal the card and activate the effect. Okay, this is exactly where we get the Digimon comparison, because in Digimon there are security effects. When cards are hit out of your life or security, some of them have effects that activate. Seems like the same thing will be true in One Piece. Also, when the leader card is damaged, if there is no life, that player loses the game. That is pretty much the full rules summary. Again, I know it was a little bit rough because some of the translations weren't exactly perfect, but I mean, I think I got the general gist of this game. Again, I want to show you guys how it's going to play out when we can either do it with an online simulator or with physical cards. That might be for a long time though, in the States at least. Maybe I can get my hands on some Japanese cards when they come out, who knows. But you know, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I definitely want to help you guys understand how to play the One Piece card game, as far as I'm aware of it, to my knowledge. But yeah, guys, I'm super excited. I want in the comments below, are you looking forward to the One Piece card game? What do you think? I'll see you guys in the next video.